how to keep the lumbar long and stable, we will now use that in a variation of Utkatasana where we are using the rope wall to support the spine. But before we do that, we should be clear as to what the sacrum is, how the sacrum feels, and how that is not or should not be confused with the lumbar. In order to do that, I'm going to ask the practitioner to turn around. And I'd like you to hunch over a little bit. Now, ideally, when a person is hunching over and you run your hand across or your finger across the spine, as you can see, you will be able to see little bumps. And this is a spinous process. Every vertebra has these little bumps, little bumps, little bumps, little bumps. But when you come to the sacrum, it's a flat bone. It doesn't have these bumpy processes. So you will know that the sacrum is a flat bone without these bumps. If you feel a bump, it is not the sacrum, it is the lumbar vertebrae above it. That is, even the thoracic vertebrae have these processes, but we are talking about the confusion between the lumbar and the sacrum. Do not confuse the two regions. The sacrum is a flat bone. You will not feel those tiny little projections, whereas the immediate lumbar above it, you will be able to feel the tiny little spinous processes, which are those projections, and you will need to be clear that as long as you feel the bump, you're still on the lumbar. And when you come to that flat bone, it is the sacrum. Yes, thank you. So now we would like the student to stand between the rope wall. That is, she's standing between a right hook and left hook, which ideally is shoulder width apart. Okay, now the heel will be completely against the wall. Now, in case there is any ambiguity whether the heel is actually touching the wall, then it always makes sense to climb the heel on the wall and then make sure that the absolute center of the heel, where the center of the heel aligns with the Achilles tendon, that unambiguous center of the heel should be placed against the wall, and then you're sliding down in such a way that that Achilles tendon lengthens to place the heel on the floor. So you are on the center of the heel and your heel is wedged against the wall. At this point, I would like the practitioner to hold the hand up on the ropes, but I'm going to clear the ropes for you to see the structure of the spine. So I'm clearing the ropes. Now usually when you stand, you can hold the rope up. I'll clear it for you. Yeah, you can hold the rope up nicely, arm elongated, and you can see that when a person is standing against the wall, the middle buttock touches the wall, right? And the arch of the lower back is quite profuse. Now the lower back has a natural lordosis, but when this lordosis becomes too much, more than required, then you will see that the front of the spine is long and the back of the spine sinks in that shortness. So here we are going to see how to address this and proceed in a supported version of Utkatasana. Now, to release this, the practitioner will first step away from the wall around 2.5 to 2.25 measured distances. That's a little too much. Right. Now, after you do that, you will see that as soon as she takes the leg forward, that distortion of the spine is not there. That is, the spine rests on the wall. Yeah. And the lower back, that is the sacrum, you feel a spreading action where the buttock was projecting against the wall. So the sacrum was never really touching the wall when she was standing straight up. But when she keeps the leg a little forward, you can see that the sacrum spreads against the wall, where the sacrum feels free and broad. That is something which you have to notice. Now, after that, you then slightly keep your feet together. You're taking your hand on your pelvis the same way you kept it for Shavasana or Supta Tadasana, where the thumb comes in front, marking the anterior superior iliac spine. The finger goes at the back, that is the forefinger, marking the top boundary of the iliac crest, and the palm itself encases the pelvis. Then, as if the drawing down of the pelvis to lengthen the lumbar bends the knee. You don't want the pelvis to go on to a straight knee, as if drawing the pelvis down causes the knee to slightly accommodate. You want to release the pelvis. Now, after releasing the pelvis, you're going to have this knee mildly bent with the thighs internally rotated. Then you're taking your hand to hold the top ropes again. Now, this is a point where the palm is holding the rope without any intention. Now you're going to create an intent. That is, remember we talked about the front of the floating rib, side of the floating rib and back of the floating rib. As if the right palm lengthens, this entire right side of the rib cage broadens and lifts up. And as if the left palm lengthens, the entire side of the rib cage broadens and lifts up. The lower rib cage moves away in such a manner that the diaphragm expands and that the lumbar does not feel compressed in any manner. And here the pelvis is stabilized on a broad sacrum. So the grounds are here established. Broad diaphragm, lifted rib cage, free lumbar, broad sacrum, contacted pelvis. Now, this should not be disturbed. Here, the disturbance will happen if you bang the knee. You will see that the buttock pops off the wall and the entire work is skewed, that the entire work is lost. So you don't want to bang the knee back. Instead, you want to feel that this pelvis is stabilized and the broadness of the sacrum is retained, and almost very silently and very firmly, silent but firmly, the femur lengthens into the socket, into the socket, into the socket to draw the knee in straight position, and you will see that this can very well happen without distorting the pelvis or any of the work that we've done. From there, I'd like you to once again think of the crease of the buttock and the ischial tuberosity. Where is the buttock bone? As if the pelvis slides on the wall downward, as if it's trying to reach that ischial tuberosity. As if you're aware of that, you will sit until the thigh is 90 degrees to the floor, where the knee is only slightly over the ankle but does not cross the toes in any manner. The knee can be over the heel, it can be slightly in front of the heel in Utkatasana, but it never will cross the toe. So when you come to this 90 degree, you want to feel that this femur is lengthening toward the socket, where the broadness of the sacrum and is well established. At the same time, though the hand slides down positionally, the lift of the rib cage still remains upward toward the grip of the rope right and left, maintaining that long lumbar, broad sacrum and an awareness of the right and left sit bone. Now, as if you're pressing the feet, once again remembering the right and left sit bone, as if you're integrating the back thigh, lifting the back thigh up into the thigh, as if the back thigh lifts into the thigh, and then you come up straight. Have your hand on the wall, push yourself off the wall to stand up.